Hi friends, how are you all? So, in this lecture, we will be dealing with yet another important topic in macroeconomics. Okay, which is foreign exchange rate. First of all, let me introduce what is foreign exchange. Okay, see, let us take USA and let's take India. They are two countries, right? India follows the country of money rupee per rupee once. Any denomination in India, any payment in India will be made in multiples of rupee one, right? But is the same in US? No. If you're going from an Indian and you are an Indian and if you are going to the USA and if you are telling I will pay in Indian rupee, will the US seller or will the US vendor agree? No. No, no. The reason is in USA the currency is USD or the dollar, and any payment or any transaction in the USA will take place in multiples or fractions of US dollar. Okay, so first of all, how do we define this exchange? And also, there are two currencies, right? Do you think India, one rupee, Indian rupee can be exchanged for $1 US dollar? Do you think it will be fair? India's the situations or conditions in India are totally different from situations or conditions in US. And the monetary position or the stability or everything, if you take any parameter, everything in India is different from the US. So definitely 1 rupee will not be able to purchase you $1. As you know, US is a better developed country than India. So how can we settle this? There must be some rate such that will determine $1 is equal to something rupee. Let's take 70 rupee. Okay, what is this? If you pay 70 rupees, you will be able to get $1. And with this $1, you can do any monetary transactions in the United States of America. So, this rate, what is this rate? What is this rate? The 70, what is this rate? This rate is the foreign exchange rate of exchange of dollar and rupee. It is actually the price of one currency in terms of another currency. The price of $1 in terms of Indian rupee will be equal to 70 rupees. Okay, this is equivalent to goods also. Okay, say let's take you are buying something and if that costs rupees 70. Okay, let's take something, you are buying some good and it costs rupees 70. This 70 is the price of that good. Now when you are considering from India's point of view, you are taking US dollar to be a commodity also. US dollar is also a good for you, right? So the price of that good on the United States dollar in terms of Indian currency is rupees 70. Simply this. Okay, just take current foreign currency as another good and we are putting the value of that good in terms of our currency. But there's a small difference. In India, when in the lecture on money, we have said money acts as a common unit of account. It measures the value of goods. However, when we are currently considering different countries and different currencies, each currency cannot act as a value measurement for the other, right? There should be some common denomination. Generally, it is the US dollar. What happens is each time a country, let's take yen or yuan or euro or pound or anything. Each countries will be assessed in with respect to the dollar. Let's take rupees $1 is equal to rupees 70, and let's take $1 or $1.1 is equal to £1. If this is the case, then both of these are related to dollar, rupee and pound. So we can relate this and we can say that 1 pound is equal to 70 into 1.1 or 77 rupees. So generally the common denomination used here is the dollar. But based on the dollar, we determine the direct exchange rate for different commodities. So this is basically the thing of foreign exchange rate. Now, after this, let us focus on few other concepts. Okay, how do we determine this exchange rate? Determination of exchange rate. How do we determine or fixation? Okay, let's take fixation or determination. How is it determined? There are three ways to determine the foreign exchange rate. Three ways of managing the foreign exchange rate. The first is the fixed exchange rate case. In fixed exchange rate, what happens, there is no foreign exchange, there is no interlinking. Just a country's government or the monetary authority says, my country's currency values this much with respect to the US dollar. Okay, when the government says it values this much with respect to the US dollar, but the most probably government will take each currencies. Okay, this rate is fixed by the government. It is not at all going to change. Okay, if the government fixes rupees 37 per dollar, if the Indian government fixes rupees 37 per dollar, then that is the exchange rate that will happen for all transactions between India and USA. Okay, but what happens is the exchange rate instability is more likely. In the case of price floor or price ceiling, right? When there is price ceiling, if the price ceiling is kept here, there will be an excess of demand. Similarly, if the price is fixed at some point, which is not at the equilibrium point for a foreign exchange, definitely there will be an imbalance between demand and supply. So what happens is, to alter this imbalance, the government will have to release or withdraw foreign exchange from the market, from the economy. So for that, the monetary authority should have a lot of reserves with them. But the main plus point here, since there is stability, foreign investors will be ready to come to our country. Because the value is fixed, there is no uncertainty of returns or anything. So, this will promote capital inflow, but it will discourage capital outflows. You know why? Because our people will be discouraged. The rate is fixed and you might get some profit. Better than that, why not invest in our own country? Why should we invest in there? So actually what happens, generally if the foreign exchange changes in our favor, we will be able to make higher profits from foreign investment. But if the rate is fixed, then there is no scope for that. Generally it will discourage outflows of capital. Then the second method of fixation is floating exchange rate. It is floating, that is freely left to the market forces of demand and supply. It will be demand for foreign currency and this will be supply for foreign currency, and always the rate will be fixed at this equilibrium point. If it is demand for foreign currency and if it is supply for foreign currency, okay, demand for foreign currency and supply of foreign currency, this is price or rate of foreign currency. This is where the foreign exchange will be fixed. Here what happens, there is always equilibrium. It promotes stability. It is actually better. But you know, there is some uncertainty in foreign transaction, and also the government doesn't need to hold any reserves. Since everything is market, the government will not need to stabilize the foreign exchange in any time, since everything is driven by market forces. So this was the second rate. But what happens if in developing or lower grade countries, they find it difficult, because generally the foreign exchange will always be favorable to higher developed countries. Mostly. So what happens? These countries will always be at a disadvantage. They will keep on losing. So this will in turn, this will drive them into disadvantageous position, right? Then the third form of thing, managed floating exchange rate. Here what happens? Generally it is for like floating only. There is nothing, no intervention by the monetary authority, but there will be limits. Let's say this is the limit, lower limit. If the exchange goes beyond this, or exchange rate goes like, if it is going too low or too high, the monetary authority will intervene and it will do corrective actions from its reserve in order to stabilize the foreign exchange. So in this rate what happens? There is market forces also. Okay, there might be some level of uncertainty. It encourages speculation, that is okay, because floating rate also encourages speculation. Fixed rate doesn't encourage speculation in any form. And also what happens here, there is fixed also, because the foreign exchange will not go too much out of control of the government. So compared to all this rate is actually the best. It is followed by most countries. Okay, now let's take the market forces of demand and supply, or the floating exchange rate. How do the equilibrium get established? Naturally, demand is equal to supply. Simple. What causes demand for foreign exchange? You purchase goods, you purchase pen, you purchase paper, you purchase food items. Simply like that, do you purchase foreign exchange of all countries? Might be if you are holding a coin collection, you might be buying some. Only that much for children. But generally, when do people purchase foreign exchange? When do people say, I want US dollar? Let's take US dollar itself. When do an Indian say how I want US dollar? Definitely when he or she wants to do something in the US. Either he or she wants to purchase direct purchases in US, or direct investment, or he wants to lend loans to somebody, transfers. If we are doing anything in foreign exchange, we people are going and doing anything in foreign exchange, in foreign country, then we will demand foreign exchange. Then how does supply of foreign exchange come? When does a US person come to India and give us US dollar? Will he simply give US dollar is worth 70 rupees? Will he simply give and donate US dollar to us? No. The main sources of supply is if they are purchased by foreigners. Okay, see, if we are purchasing from foreign, what is it called? Generally it will be called import, because we are buying from foreign country. Purchased by foreigners or export. Whenever we are giving anything to the foreigners, it will be called export. Okay, if they are coming here and purchasing, or they are coming here and investment. They are coming here and investing in our country, or our people, non-residents who are working there. Some of your parents might be working in Dubai or somewhere, and they will be sending money in UAE dirham or something. They will be sending money to us. Okay, or if your parents are working in the US, somebody will be sending US dollar to us. So they will be supplying. When the dollar comes here, it will be converted to rupee. So remittances. This is called remittances. these are the sources of purchase or supply or demand. Generally, if we are going foreign and we are doing something in the foreign, okay, then we are giving something like purchases or outflow of money from our hand, then it will be demand. When there is inflow of foreign money into our hand from foreign, it will be supply of foreign exchange. This is basically the concept. Now I think I have given you some examples. Now you will be telling this and asking me questions like which is demand, which is supply. Okay. So now then we are going to the next main topic. Equilibrium, now you know. Then there is depreciation, devaluation. See, initially if the rate is here, okay, suppose the rate falls to here, there is some other supply or demand, something changes and the rate falls to here. This can happen in two forms. Either the demand and supply conditions or any other factors will have caused changes in the foreign exchange market and the floating rate is going down. If the floating rate is going down, then it is called depreciation. But in fixed rate or managed floating rate, what happens? Sometimes the country's government will decide to bring down the value of its currency. Suppose the government decides from 37 per dollar it fixed earlier, it decides to fix rupees 50 per dollar. What happens? See, the price of dollar is increasing, right? The price of dollar is increasing, means depreciation is there in two forms, okay? If the price of dollar is increasing, then it is called depreciation, because with respect to India, I am taking with respect to India. With respect to India, if the price of foreign currency is increasing, like if the government decides to fix the dollar price here or the floating rate goes here, then the price of dollar is increasing. Don't confuse, okay? Okay, here the price of dollar is increasing and the value of rupee is falling. Whenever the value of rupee is falling, it is called downward or depreciation. Means depreciation, it happens when the price of rupee falls or the price of foreign currency with respect to rupee rises because in floating exchange rate, okay, or due to normal market forces. But if the government does like this, there is no change at all in the foreign exchange market. No change at all. But the government decides that the value of rupee should go down and the value of dollar should go up. So such a thing is called devaluation. It is deliberately done by the government or monetary authority. What happens with the devaluation? Earlier, an Indian can purchase $1 for rupees 37, but now he has to pay rupees 50 to buy dollars. So it will discourage capital outflows and it will discourage imports, but it will encourage exports. You know why? Earlier, when a US person gives $1 to India, he will be getting goods worth only rupees 37, but now he can get goods worth rupees 50. Okay, so he will be encouraged because Indian goods are getting cheaper for him. So they will buy more. So it will encourage exports and it will discourage imports. And definitely it will have a favorable balance, favorable impact on India's foreign exchange trade or foreign international trade. The opposite of this situation where the price of dollar is coming down, means value of rupee is going up with respect to the dollar. So what happened? If it is happening in floating exchange rate or due to natural market forces, it is appreciation of foreign currency, appreciation of Indian rupee. It is depreciation of foreign currency. Got it? It is depreciation of foreign currency because US dollar is falling. Okay. In case of depreciation of our currency, it is appreciation of the foreign currency. Okay. Confusing, right? When, simple example, when the price of dollar increases from rupees 37 to rupees 50, dollar has appreciated and rupee has depreciated. But if the opposite happened, if price of dollar falls from 50 to 37, it means dollar has depreciated and rupee has appreciated. Okay. Appreciation generally happens due to market forces in floating or managed floating exchange rate. And if it is done by monetary authority, similar to devaluation, if it is done by monetary authority, if the value of some own currency is increased, okay, and the value of foreign currency is brought down by some action of the monetary authority, then it is called revaluation. Okay, this is basically nothing thing. If the price of the value of foreign country's currency rises, then that currency is appreciating, our currency is depreciating. If the foreign exchange rate of foreign value of foreign currency falls, that currency is depreciating, our currency is appreciating. That's all. And whenever our currency's value goes up, it will have favorable value on imports. If the price of $1 falls from 50 to 37, our people will be encouraged to buy more of dollar because now they need to pay 13 rupees less. And it will discourage exports because people or dollar people, US people, they will have to pay more to get one in Indian rupees. So what happens when the value of depreciation or home currency value depreciates? Home currency value depreciates, foreign currency value appreciates. Then what happens? Exports, foreign currency's value is appreciating. Then exports will go up because foreigners need to pay lesser for Indian goods, our goods. Okay, exports will increase, imports will fall. But if our currency is appreciating and foreign currency is depreciating, exports will fall because foreigners will not be inclined because our goods have become costly for them, and imports will increase because their goods have become cheap for us. So this is basically the thing with depreciation, appreciation, devaluation and revaluation. Okay, now next we come with the next topic, foreign exchange market. What is this? First of all, foreign exchange market is just like, you can theoretically studying it, it's just like any other market where foreign currencies are bought and sold. But when you consider practically, there are many other things. Foreigner has to come here. Foreigner, when they are playing, they'll have to approach a bank, and there are many other procedures. We don't have to take care of them. But generally, it is the place or structure or distribution mechanism through which foreign currencies are bought or sold. Okay, generally foreign exchange market will be there in almost all countries, because one person is coming from the US and if he wants to get Indian rupee to stay in India, he will be approaching some bank or something and he will be giving US dollars and he will be getting Indian rupee. Okay, so foreign exchange market is the place or structure through which foreign currency is bought or sold. Or let us take forex market, foreign exchange market. What happens? What are the functions of foreign exchange market? It facilitates the transfer of international trade or transfer of foreign exchange. It also gives credit to international transactions, right? If you have to buy a good in US and if you are approaching a US bank, okay, the US bank will pay there, you need to pay afterwards. Such credit is facilitated by the foreign exchange market. Then there is also other things like capital movements and many other things. What are the two types of foreign exchange market? One is the spot and other one is forward. It also gives one concept of hedging, which I will tell here. Spot market is now you are buying a good and now you are paying. The person is selling now, you are paying now. No change. It happens maximum within 24 hours. Okay, this is spot market. Immediate sale and exchange of foreign exchange. But if you are buying today and you say, let's say you are buying goods for $10,000 and you say I will pay after 3 months. So what happens? This was done in forwards market. Okay. You are saying you will pay after 3 months. At that time, if you are buying the foreign exchange and paying, it will be spot market. But there is small problem in forwards. You know what? Suppose today the value of dollar is rupees 70. The seller will be afraid that he might lose the money. If the value of dollar drops to rupees 65 after 3 months, this person is going to lose 5 rupees per dollar. So what happens? Let's take the reverse thing. You are selling goods worth rupees 10,000 to a somebody. So say you are resident. Let's take the currently the dollar rate is rupees 50. So you will be selling for rupees $200 or $200. But that person will say I will pay you $200 after 3 months. But let's suppose the price of dollar drops rupees 45. Then what will happen? You will be getting only rupees 9,000 and you are losing 1,000 rupees just because you let that person pay after 3 months. Is it fair? Tell me, you out of fairness or fairness, you were fair and you gave that person, okay, you pay me the money after 3 months. But after 3 months, with no fault, you didn't do any fault and the foreign exchange has made you lose rupees 1,000. Will you agree? No. So what happens? There should be some mechanism by which this can be adjusted. This can be done in the forwards market. Okay. Either you can prefix the rate now. Now you can prefix the rate. $20, $200, such rupees 10,000 at rupees at, let's say you will pay rupees 10,000 at $1/50 per rupee. Whether or not the rate changes, this will be the value that is paid. He will pay rupees 10,000 as $1/50 per rupee. So anyway, he will pay $200. But the problem is just between you it's not enough. It will be between the foreign exchange market. Some bank will agree to give you rupees 50 per dollar on that day. So this is forward market. The transaction does not happen today. The agreement happens today, but the transaction takes place in some future date. So this is all about foreign exchange. We saw the meaning, we saw how foreign exchange rate is determined, how equilibrium rate, depreciation, appreciation, devaluation, revaluation. Then we saw the foreign exchange market, its functions, spot market and the forwards market. So this will be with this session. We have one more important session in macroeconomics. We'll do it in the next lecture. So till then, stay safe. Thank you.